Tyson Brown. I ain't know how you gonna talk like you talking. You ain't even in the same vicinity as me. TCMT got the game in a chokehold. Ain't talking bag shots, but she give me low blows. Paintbrush on the canvas, I'm an artist like Van Gogh. No respect for Popo and her kiss like Sam Crow. Won't stop till the damn whipping in a Lambo. Disney to your girl when she gone, you a fan though. Never bite the hand that feeds you, learn to be the hand Joe. And Dubs pushing weight, that's probably why he lay low. If you disrespect him, I find out you get a halo. On the phone with Sia and he riding when I say so. Ain't talking porno when I say that we bang bro. Ray-Ban shades on, sweatpants camo. Diss my team, I'ma let them Rambo. Diss my team and we all go commando. Wanna be remembered as the best to ever do it with my click in the center like an iPod Nano. TCMT.
Welcome once again to State of the Arts. My name is Mick Patton. I am your host, and today I'm here with my friend Terry. Hi, Terry. How are you?
I am great, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Terry, I know who you are. I know what you look like. I can pick you out in a crowd. These people can only hear you. So please tell us something about yourself.
Sure thing. Well, you got my name, Terry. I am a 29-year-old musician who has spent a fair bit of time in the musical theater circuits in and around Toronto, just starting in London as well. Did some work in Vancouver. I'm also a hockey enthusiast. Go Canucks, go. Yeah. I also do a lot of composition and some writing and whatnot. I actually wrote a musical a couple of years ago, and I'm currently working on some fan fiction in the Mass Effect universe. So
The video game.
the video game. Yeah. So I like me some Mass Effect.
Now, Mass Effect, is that PlayStation or is that Xbox? Or
It used to be an Xbox exclusive until I can't remember, until EA started taking over. I think it's a BioWare game, but then EA got involved and they decided that they make more money if they open it up to the PlayStation players. So now it is for Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah, I never understood the exclusivity. I appreciate if Xbox is making their own number and their own game, I get that. But if you're making a game, like if you're Eidos or somebody and you're making a game, why would you tie yourself up? I mean, I guess really it's hardware and you're building the software for a specific console. So maybe that's a software encoding
For sure.
thing.
Well, I mean, it goes all the way back to the Super Nintendo Sega Genesis wars,
Right.
Where Sega was boasting its technological advancements of being able to have a 16-bit hardware versus the 8-bit, which was prevalent with the SNES. But then Nintendo, obviously, they had their connections. They had a 5-year head start or something like that. Anyway.
Something like that. Video games being the another art.
Now
form,
it's just more. It's all about user preferences now more than the exclusivity. It's which controller fits nicer in my hand or which graphics card gives me less of a headache.
Well, you were talking earlier about the mobile platform, and that's. Have you seen the new Nintendo mobile platform thing that they're doing?
Is it sort of they're taking Game Boy games, or is it even like NES games? And
From what I understand, I haven't done a lot of research on it because they've just what I've seen has just been out on doing the rounds of pictures on things like Imager and Reddit.
Right.
And from what I understand, it is a mix of a handheld unit and a dockable unit that then transfers its video to a TV.
Oh wow!
And then you can take the extra pieces for it looks like it comes in 3 pieces and they slide together, and it looks very complicated. And it also looks like it's easy to lose things, sort of like how Apple did with their new headphones.
Oh, indeed. Yeah.
$100 to lose your new headphones in various different new ways.
Indeed.
So it looks like it all slides together, and then there's this dock where you put it together, and it's like a little tablet. It looks really cool, but it looks very, very complicated. It looks needlessly. I sell things like electronics for a living, and whenever you start adding parts like that, you start it's when is it going to break down, not if.
Well, that was why Sega kind of fell by the wayside, because then they introduced the Sega CD and the 32X and all these different modules, and
they all stacked on top of each other.
Stacked on top, exactly. So they didn't do so well.
So welcome to the podcast where we meander everywhere on topics. So you're a writer. You're doing what are you doing right now? Like other than working, because as an artist, I assume we all have to work because that's what we do.
Well, Mick, when I'm not struggling to make rent, I'm
right.
currently I'm involved in the London community theatre scene. So I am currently taking part in Musical Theatre Productions London, MTP's upcoming cabaret, Defying Gravity. So it sort of it's a hodgepodge of mega musical numbers from Les Mis, Phantom of the Opera, Cats, just sort of a showcase
All
of
the good ones.
of that, and just
Yeah.
to raise money so then they can put on bigger and better shows. And I also just got recently cast in their winter production of The Little Mermaid. I will be King Triton.
Nice.
So
Are we
I
gonna
get to
we
go
gonna
in-
white hair? Do we have to?
I have a feeling it's going to be white hair and Spartan 8-packs.
Terry has this wonderful dark wavy. Yeah, he's got this nice hair, and to see it whitened, I don't know. That should be interesting.
Oh, indeed. It should be a good time. But
So-
yeah.
So local theater. I mean, that's where we met, right? I mean, this is where Terry and I met while doing the porno play.
That
at,
is
the,
it.
The Arts Project, which is a fantastic venue. I highly suggest that you go look at it. Now, okay, so we're talking about the porno play. Now, the porno play. When I got to it, I auditioned. There was an open audition call. Somebody come in and read for. There were several parts. So I went in and I read for a part, and I managed to get the part of Brad, which is really Brad was who I was, and we didn't audition on the same night, so we didn't meet until the reading,
The read through, yeah.
the reading of the show. So what was your initial when you got there? Because this leads into another story, and so when you got there
It
and you
always
auditioned for it,
does.
what was exactly? There's always a new story, but when you auditioned for the show, where were you? Like, what was your thinking?
Well, it was sort of interesting how it all kind of came together. I had just moved to London from Toronto, and I had spent the previous 3 weeks job hunting, looking for work, and just trying to find a way to make living in London
Right.
more than just a plausible idea. And so I was just sifting online, just trying to find something to keep me occupied, keep my mind off of the stress of not having any jobs, and found his ad online. They were having auditions that night, and then the following day. It was a Friday and a Saturday, and I just found the ad maybe around 3 o'clock on the Friday. Send Nick a quick email.
And this is Nick Regan again.
Nick
of course.
Regan, yes.
He was. He is planned. He's going to be on the show. Darn it! And I will have him eventually. But this was the writer of
Yes.
the porno play.
Yes, the writer, and basically I sent an email asking if they had any open audition slots available. I had no expectations, no idea what was going to happen. He gets back to me, says, "Hey, can you come in at 7 o'clock today?" And so I found a monologue and learnt it on the fly, showed up and performed my monologue for Nick. He seemed impressed, and he let me do a cold read for the role of Casey, who is a bit of a brown noser, a bit of an overwhelmed employee, so to speak. And
Casey was a fun character.
he was definitely a fun character.
little
and he
high-strung.
actu- at the end of the audition, actually, he seemed pretty happy to the point where he actually handed me the role on the spot, asked me if I wanted it. And
Nice.
I had nothing else to do, and it seemed like a fun project. So it definitely took my mind
Yeah.
off of not being able to make rent that month. So
Yeah, well, it's distraction if anything else. And I got the call the next day.
Yeah.
I did get the part, as I said. And together, when we got together, there was a bunch of us. There was a whole bunch of people. Now, I don't know how many people here are listening who do local theater. Local theater, for me and for a lot of other people, we do it for free. We do it because we love doing it. And we would love
sure.
to be paid for it. But we do it because it's a labor of love, and we do it
it's a creative outlet.
it's a creative outlet, and which it ties into a lot of the other stuff that I do, but we do it for free, and it's but as a result of that, if I have to work, and there's some crossover, the long and the short of it is that sometimes you lose people when
Yeah.
you're doing shows, hook or by crook. Sometimes you can't help it. It doesn't matter. It does happen. So, what happened, Terry?
Well, we had a couple of dropouts. One particular dropout that we had was a relatively unfortunate.
Yeah, he
Without-
couldn't maintain a solid
Yeah.
rehearsal schedule.
At the end of the day, that was essentially it, and I felt for Nick because he was not only was the writer of the show, but at the time he was directing the show, and he's also producing it. So he's putting his own money in there. He's making the investment, emotional and financial investment to make it all happen. And sometimes
Absolutely.
you have to make calls that aren't always easy ones to make, but it's for the good of the project. So we had to let him go. and
Of
we had
course.
another dropout who came in to replace our initial dropout at the time, and due to I don't know how you say it. Like, I don't want to come across as rude, but just didn't agree with the script, I guess, or
Well,
how
well, let's
with
face
the
it. I mean,
process, or
the show is called The Porno Play, so just coming into it, there's got to be some. You got to put your back up a little bit.
oh,
So
for sure.
there was some stuff in the show that was not your typical standard theater fare. I mean, there was some controversial things in there, and there were some things that were said that were uh, needed, I think, in the context
For
of
sure.
the show.
For the
but
context of the show.
but certainly not easy for some people to hear and that sort of thing.
Of
So,
course.
so there was a creative
Outside the context of the show, it's
Right.
not easy to listen
Right. So
to.
so outside of the show, so there was some problems there. So ultimately, what ended up happening was
Nick bit the bullet, and he filled in the role of the dropout, which was the lead role of the show. I took a step up and resumed as director while maintaining my original role as Casey. So I had a bit of a double duty there. And
it was very interesting to watch the show come to life because I feel personally that Nick probably should have been in that role to begin with.
Oh,
I
for
understand that he wrote the show, but when you watch the show, you understand that that is a part of him, and every character is a little part of
for
him,
sure.
I suppose. But that particular one was who he was. And when he stepped into it, it allowed a lot of the rest of us to really buy into his character because we weren't watching somebody act the part. We were watching somebody be the part.
For sure.
And so for me, that was the buy-in for me. You coming in with your external views, and you really didn't know Nick from a hole in the ground. And when we got to the script, and when you got to the script, you saw something different. I think the show went in a slightly different direction. I think it went in a great direction, and better or worse really is neither here nor there.
Oh,
but
for sure.
So what? So you got the show. He handed you the show, and this is the writer of the show. And of course, the worst person to be looking after their own show is the writer of the show.
For sure.
But he handed over the reins. What did you do with it?
Well, I empathize with this situation, totally being a writer myself. And you write something and you have this idea of how you want what you've written to be conveyed as. He handed me the reins. The first thing I did was just have a sit down with him. I wanted to learn more about not so much the show, but about Nick, about his experiences at the store, just to get a better grasp of what was going on in his mind, not just while he was writing, but just getting an idea of his experiences, so then I could try to bring those to reality. And the one thing that I ended up coming up with was this idea of total honesty. There is, his original idea was to write a 2-hour entertainment show.
Sure.
To entertain for 2 hours. That was his original idea, and that's all fine and good.
Absolutely.
But what I discovered was almost, I wouldn't say autobiographical, even though it is, but the idea wasn't to convey it like an autobiography. It related so well to my own work life and the stuff that I've done and the things that I've had to go through, the customers that I've met, the clients that I've met.
That's very interesting.
And I think, everybody has dealt with the crazy drunk. Everybody at some point, I'd like to think at some point, has dealt with the overbearing boss, the brown-nosing employee, the way too cool for school coworker, you know?
Right. The archetypes, the retail
Exactly.
archetypes. If you've spent any time in retail whatsoever, you've recognized these people. And there are different types of retail which bring different facets of those people. Like the porno play, if for those of you who didn't see it, and we'll get into this when Nick does actually end up on the show.
For sure.
Nick. Friendly, of course. The show takes place in a store that has video booths in which people go in and watch porn for whatever reason that they're there for. And the show is a nice slice of life. And it's you meet the characters. You meet the boss, me. You meet Casey. You meet Rich. You meet the crazies who go to the back and frequent the store. So everyone is represented in that show. And I think the brilliance of this particular show, if I may say so, was the snippets of the crazy people. Yep. Because there was some real honest talk in those monologues.
Oh, for sure.
Real honest talk. So I didn't get a chance to see those rehearsals because those monologue people, because their monologues were so gargantuan, and some of them had monologues that were literally gibberish to memorize. So we didn't get a chance to see those. What were those rehearsals like?
They were definitely interesting. When I was working with the monologuers, so I like to call them the monologuers, it was definitely an interesting experience just getting an understanding of how the characters get to that point, which is interesting because the monologues all take place during a flashback. So the monologues were really more of a character developmental tool for the rest of the show. But we used the script, like the other scenes in the script, as sort of a focal point of how their character got from their monologue scene where they're all in a rehab circle to the point that they are when they get to the other scenes in the show where they're interacting with the employees and whatnot.
And interestingly enough, some of them have improved and some of them have not.
Degraded, the one character of Jeff, who started off as a homosexual heroin addict, who had some,
as we all do sometimes,
or at least some sort of representation of that.
Yeah.
Obviously, to a slightly more exaggerated point, but just to watch that character go from admitting to having to deal with his issues to embracing his orientation, embracing the fact that he's a recovering addict, embracing the fact that he really wants to be a woman. By the end of the show, he is the character was played by a woman, our good friend Michelle, and just watching the transformation from this hoodie wearing drug addict to full blown I am wearing fishnets and wearing glam hair and lipstick, and then watching another character go from this this cocky university student to the most rugged, raw,
waste
base scum of Earth. Unfortunately,
it was really funny to watch actually. Jeff at the end of the show, or what did she change her name? I don't remember if it was or not.
No, I think she kept the name Jeff.
But
she was mid transition.
That's right. So she hadn't quite made it all the way. But it was very interesting to see her character was the basic normal character.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it, when you get through it, all these characters are very, very broken. And Jeff at the end, and maybe I'm spending way too much time thinking about it, but Jeff at the end is possibly the most grounded person in that show. Finally.
I would say so, yeah. At the very least, has made the most progression as far as achieving what it is that she needed to achieve to achieve her balance or his balance. It's hard to keep track sometimes.
It is. And anyways, we could go on about that show. That show has that was a labor of love for a lot of us. We stuck with it and we got through and we got a decent review, as I recall.
Oh,
and that
sure.
was the testament to the people who were in the show. And I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn. I toot my own horn kind of enough, but everybody else that was in that show bought in, and I think that's where it came across. I think if anybody enjoyed it at all, it was due to the fact that everybody was there, not because that it was a show they were in, but by the end it was we connected with somebody in that show.
For sure.
I connected with Rich. You mentioned it earlier. I connected with Rich on a very weird level because I've worked in retail and I've worked in weird situations, and you get some of those really weird customers, and you have to learn how to deal with it, or you go nuts.
Definitely.
You either burn out or you can live with it. You're either a lifer or you don't, and I guess that's what it boils down to. And even with Brad, it was really funny because I read for Brad, and at the end of it, Nick was like, "Wow, you really got that." And I said, "I may be Brad because I've had retail management position, and I've had that retail management where I've got these kids, for lack of a better expression, working under me who have said everything that Rich has said in that show."
Yeah.
So it was very fun for me to be able to channel my bedraggled and weather-worn manager out and get that done. But anyways,
definitely.
Really enough about the porno play. So you're working on new stuff, but you've got something else that you want to do soon.
Yeah, definitely. Sometime in the spring or the summer, I want to bring one of the shows that I had written. I want to bring it to life. I want to bring it to London for the Londoners to experience. It's It is a 90s themed romantic comedy musical entitled Love Lash.
I love it.
And Love Lash is was a word that I created with a friend of mine, essentially whiplash of the heart, so to speak. And it's very much a Friends meets Glee
Okay.
kind of show. You have some really catchy music with some very outrageous 90s references.
Yeah.
And it's it's just a very, very fun show, and I'm really hoping to either get MTP to pick it up in some sort of workshop format now that I'm connected with them, or to even I'm applying for the London Fringe Festival as well in their 90-minute category. So I'm hoping that I can get lucky and
I was in their office the other day. It's a lovely little office.
Oh,
actually.
definitely. Very much so.
I would love to do our podcasts there. That would be fantastic.
Awesome.
Is there anything else that you would like to plug, sir? That was your opportunity. Now's your chance.
Is
there
my
anything
chance.
you'd like to change or improve in the store? Now's your chance to speak up.
Right. I could use a little more Purell in the office, right? There are a few different things coming up. I'm going to plug Defying Gravity, which is the cabaret that I'm currently doing
Do you have
with
dates
MTP.
for those?
November 25th and 26th at Aeolian Hall. You can buy tickets either through me if we still have tickets available, or you can even go to the box office on I think aeolian.com, I believe, on the Aeolian website.
We'll put the right links up on the podcast itself, so don't worry about that.
And then the Little Mermaid, which will be opening in mid-February. I believe it's a 2-week run. There is currently a Young at Heart sale that's going on where you can buy tickets for only $20 instead of the original $25 or $28 or so, and that's going on for a limited time.
$5 is $5.
$5 is $5. You save $5, you save another $5 somewhere else. That's $10, right? Yeah. And there's even going to be a Family Day matinee. So if you have young ones and you love classic Disney and you love musical theater, you get to see me sport an 8-pack or a breastplate, one of the two. Depends on how much progress I make, but until February.
He's doing sit-ups as we speak. That's just how it's going to work, right?
That's basically it.
All right. Well, it looks like you've got enough keeping you busy for the next little while. So keep an eye out on this space, of course, on the website and everything else. I will post dates as they come up and as I understand them, and I'll get you links to all your websites and all that kind of stuff to help you out. So that's all we have for you for State of the Arts this week. Terry has been my gracious guest. Anytime you want to come on, sir.
Definitely. More than happy to.
And that's it for the show, folks. My name is Mick Patton. I have been your host here on State of the Arts. Have a good week. We'll see you next time.
Tree City Music Team, now you know just who we be, and we ain't never ever gonna stop. Never. I need a round of applause. A round of applause. I need a round of applause. Round of applause. I need a round of applause. Clap, clap. I need a round of applause. Bang, bang. I need a round.